some of the things that so that women can understand what the emotional unavailability is.
Mhm.
Because I did want you to touch on it a little bit more, so that women can know. But I understand you kind of took it from just your perspective. But
Mhm.
some of them are in the superficial conversations
Mhm.
that they really can't get deep, or they don't tell you too much about their past, right? The other their surface level conversations, inconsistent behavior, where they're affectionate sometimes and then they're distant the next time, and this goes back and forth. It's not consistent, right? Um, Fear of commitment. I know you don't have that, but fear of commitment. Um, Avoidance of vulnerability when they are uncomfortable when it comes to sharing their feelings. Emotional avoidance. These are the men that they shut down a lot when it's time to have conversations. I was in a relationship with someone that would literally say, I can't have this conversation right now. They would put the conversations, anything that was a deep conversation about what was going on in the relationship, he would put it off and put
Mhm.
it off so much to where we would never talk, right? And think that everything is okay, but stuff is never okay. If you can't get to the hard conversations, right? If you can't have
Mhm.
deep conversations, um, they prioritize their independence, where they do a lot of stuff by themselves, not as like let's something that we're gonna do together, let's build together. They a lot of times they might not even want help with anything. They're just doing their thing. Right? Again, I dated someone like that, and I
Mhm.
said, you don't need to be in a relationship. If you if there's no us time, if there's nothing that's concrete that you want to devote to building the relationship. Because I'm a person that I believe you're either working on growing together, or by
Mhm.
default you are growing apart.
Mhm.
And a lot of people they don't even think about it, right? Especially when they are in marriages or long term relationships. They don't think about that we are both evolving, so the relationship needs to evolve. What I wanted at 20 may not be what I want at 30. What I want at 30 may not be what a person wants at 50. What they want at 50 might not be what they want at 70. So if you plan on being with someone long term, what are you willing to put in? What kind of work are you willing to do to make sure that the relationship is right and that it's good to the soul of both
Mhm.
people that are in the relationship? And one of the last things I wanted to say was defensiveness. Anytime you are with someone, we have a lot of vlogs talking about women not being accountable. It's on both sides, right? That
Mhm.
if you're with a person and they're defensive about everything, that means nothing ever gets resolved.
Yep.
And they are probably emotionally unavailable. If if you face that as well, the defensiveness, the consistent, all of these are consistent behaviors. Let me say that because everyone goes through things. So I'm talking about when you have a partner that consistently does these things. They are usually, or even like Jay, like what you were saying, that um you were more talking about how it was manifesting in your body when you said that you were having headaches and things like that, right? So that's how it manifests. But the actual outwardly displays of being emotionally unavailable were the things that I actually just described. Those
Mhm.
are some of the things that women need to think about. I know, even for myself, I've dated people that forgot a state. And I knew, even when I got into the relationship, that part of it was I was not emotionally available. So them being distant,
Mhm.
physically distant, gave me an out, gave me a way to where I did not have to be fully present
Mm-hmm.
mentally, emotionally, physically with this person. So that can be one of the outwardly expressions of being emotionally unavailable as well.
No, I definitely agree with that. I did like what you were talked about earlier. I actually wrote it down. Talking about putting in the work because I think that that's one of the problems that most of these relationships actually have is that it was kind of like you were saying when the men, we're focused on the men for right now, and you were saying, okay, they recognize that they're providing the money, blah blah blah, and that the woman still goes to cheat or whatever. And I've always kind of seen it like that, and I talk about that on the channel. Is that number one? When I talk about the non-negotiables, I'm saying that's non-negotiable. That's base one. You haven't made it. That's kindergarten. However people want to say it.
One? What's
Uh,
phase one?
they're what I call the non-negotiables. So for a man, that is protection, provision, and leadership. That is you in kindergarten. You cannot base anything off of that. That is you just walking in a room. That is you knowing how to put your clothes on. That is kindergarten. But the woman wants you at 12th grade. She wants you college, whatever level. She wants you about 10 or 15 levels higher than the kindergarten. So
Yeah.
you haven't gotten past kindergarten, you got problems. In the same way, like I said, because I have men and women to watch the channel. For women, the non-negotiables are kindness, support, and attractiveness. Okay, a lot of women fail because they're not attractive. That's generally the number one thing that they complain about. Same thing, the number one thing men complain about is money. But both of these are kindergarten things.
Really?
Yeah, that's kindergarten. A man is not going to give a woman any pity, any worry, any concern, any think about you twice if you're not attractive. And
But do you think there's somebody for everybody though?
I do, but see, you have to realize this. I think everybody's attractive. I think unless you were born deformed, you're actually attractive. But see,
Yeah, okay, we're on the same page then, because that's what I was getting at. That
yeah.
somebody thinks this person because you know an elephant is going to be attracted to another elephant.
basically,
Does it make sense?
a
A
fly
squirrel
is
gonna be
attracted to
attracted
a
to a
fly. A
squirrel.
mosquito is attracted to a mosquito.
Right. So in my mind, there is somebody. I'm a person. I strongly believe there is somebody for everyone. Right. I'm one of those people that I really believe that because what's not attractive to an elephant might not be attracted to a zebra, right?
Basically.
And that's okay. So you need to find the zebra. Need to find another zebra.
Basically. And so for me, the thing I talk about with attractiveness is that there's two main components. The first part is, are you attracted to you? So because a lot of women, this is one of the things that I find, especially in the black community, is they might not be attracted to the very men that the men in their family look like. So, like for me, my ex-wife, it was funny because my ex-wife and my cousin were very similar in the way that they look. And a lot of women that I've dated look a lot like my mom or her side of the family. So a lot of times when I'm dating people, they'll be like, "Oh, you guys make a cute couple." But it's really because in a lot of ways we kind of look like brother and sister, or we look like cousins because we have the same feet. Huh?
I have a theory. I have a theory on that. I haven't tested the theory, but I really do think that people are attracted to people that look like their family, that look like people that they grew up with. I don't know if it's the familiarity of certain bone structures or certain, faces. And of course, this is not everyone, but I think that the majority of people are attracted to people that look like people that were around them, so whether it be your mom, your sisters, not in a weird way, but it's just something about that familiarity of faces or, like guys, if their mom was skinny, they probably would always date skinny, right? It's just something about seeing that and maybe it is just the fact that that's all you know when you see something outside of that, it doesn't look right. Maybe it's something in your brain. It's like it does. Because I do think I see people that connect and they're together a long time, and they favor a lot of these people favor. You know,
See, to me, that's part one, because if you don't like the way you look, and that's why I say other people in your family, because you're not literally looking at yourself, you're looking at the men that produced you, from a woman's perspective. You're looking at the men that produced you. So if you look at them and you don't find them attractive, or men in the world that look like them, then you really hate yourself. And so that's part one, to beauty, is understanding that. Then you also have a social component, which basically means, and people understand this in commercials and that do movies, is that the more we see somebody, the more we find them attractive. Like for me, I talk about it a lot when I'll bring up Lori Harvey. And I know, there's people in the past that will bring up people like Kelly Rowland, because most people would say Beyonce is more attractive. But then for me, I would say that Lori Harvey is not attractive. And I know a lot of people think she's very attractive. But see, she doesn't look like anybody in my family. She doesn't look like any really woman that I've ever dated or known. Her style is not what I like. However, I'll admit that to some men, she's extremely attractive, but she's not that attractive to me. And so that's really important, because unfortunately, we live in this social component type of world where people will look at Beyonce and say, hey, she is beautiful, or look at Kelly Rowland and try to say, okay, is Kelly Rowland more attractive than Beyonce or less attractive than Beyonce? And it really depends upon the man.
Kelly
Some
Rowland
men are going to be
she's
more
gorgeous.
Kelly Rowland. Some men are going to be more, Beyonce. Some men are going to be more Lori Harvey. And like I talk about on my channel, like me, I talk about her, the singer Her, because I'm always like, hey, Her could be my celebrity baby mama, and we can knock it out. And Her is so different because the way that, she tends to be a little thick. She's always been a little thick her whole life. She is, her face doesn't 90% like line up with Beyonce, and stuff like that. And she's a little bit more chill. And you don't see her smoking
More
hookahs.
chill than who?
Huh?
More chill than as compared to what?
Yeah, compared to like Beyonce up on stage dancing and all that kind of stuff. Because see, what happens is people assume that every man wants A, B, C, D, or E. And what I'm saying is, no, every man wants what they
You
want.
think people assume that?
Yeah, they do. Because I mean, it's too many people that I run into that will say this person's attractive and they'll say this other person's not attractive. And I'm like, no, everybody's attractive. They're just attracted to certain people. All right. So then once you get past those two components, the last one is, you kind of mentioned it a little bit, is weight / doing your best with what you got. Like for me, and I joke about this, sometimes it's like, you see, I got my chain on, right? So I got my chain on. And before 3 years ago, I never wore chains. I didn't like them. I didn't care for them. And my ex kind of wanted me to wear one, but I wasn't really into them.
Right.
So I was dating this one lady, and I was even telling her the concept of, I will dress, if we were together, I will dress how you want me to dress, at least sometimes. When we go out on Friday night or Saturday night, I'm gonna dress how you want me to, because I want you to be attracted to me, right? So what happened was, this particular girl, she was really more of a, I don't even know how to describe it. I'm just gonna say she liked the more urban look. So one day, instead of having a shirt like this and no chain or whatever, I came out with literally a white t-shirt on, a chain, some baggy jeans, and my Jordans.
Not the best.
And she literally almost was going crazy. She's like, oh my God, you look so good. Where you going? You look so good, right? And she was going crazy. But it was like, I told her, I was like, I'm going to dress like the woman wants. I was like, and I'm always telling women, you can change the way your man dress. If you can't look at him and see that he's handsome to you, even if he is wearing, I don't know, boxer shorts and a doggone wife beater, if you're not able to do that, then you really don't know what an attractive man looks like.
But but I agree with you to a certain extent. What you're saying is correct that you should look past that. However,
Mm-hmm.
now here's the part about when we were talking about changing people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some people that's just their style. So if that style is not attractive to you, now that needs to be a conversation, right? If he or she, because just like with a man, you could find a woman that's very attractive, but maybe she got a whole ass out. You may not be a person. Somebody else may be okay with that. You may not be okay with that. You get with her thinking you can change that. Now it's a problem because she doesn't want to change that, and vice versa with a man. So that's the only thing about that I feel like I do feel like it's something, but how open and how do you figure out if that person is open to changing that? There's some stuff I watch those little dating shows all the time, and I literally think these girls are crazy because they're gonna let a good person go because of how they look, but not how they look.
No, but that's right, my point. See, yeah, but see, to me, that's the whole concept of putting in the work. It's like I'm not. I agree with you. I think that like how you're dressed right now, how I'm dressed, however, 80% of the time, the person you're with is going to dress how they dress. But my point is, excuse me, my point is, can the person, like I said, well, I always tell women, can you do it for me 2 to 3 days a week, a month? If we got 30 days in a month, and I'm saying let's go out to a restaurant, let's go kick it on Friday or whatever. Can you put on an outfit that closely resembles what I like? I'm not worried about what you do on your job. I'm not worried about what you're doing lounging around the house. But if we're going out, and I don't care if we just going to Applebee's or Cheesecake Factory, that's my new favorite spot. But I don't care if we're going to Cheesecake Factory. Can you put in some effort to look like how I would think that you're attractive? And so that's my point. But I know for me, those are the little micro asks. You know what I'm saying? Like there are certain things that I do, like I say, lean away from. Like I've joked on the channel that, I would not, date a woman that just refuses to wear heels, or refuses to wear a dress. It's not difficult to wear it all the time, but I like the differences between men and women. Okay. And the differences are to me is where what the things that are sexy. Okay. If a woman looked like a man, walked like a man, had a body like a man, dressed like a man, is she a man? Okay. So I want a woman that is as far from manhood, as possible. So with her in a dress, with her with heels, blah, blah, blah.
Let's say you like a feminine woman. Let's say you like a feminine woman.
Well, see, to me, feminine, honestly, and the way a woman dresses are actually two different things. But I'll say that for right now.
But it can be two different things, but it can be the same thing. I have friends that are I have friends in the LGBTQ community, and that's very much a thing. It's very much a thing where they say somebody may be more masculine, somebody may be more friendly, and they do equate it to, again, like what I'm agreeing to. Some of it is behavior, but some of it can be how they dress, right?
But see, to me, it's like I don't need a woman to wear heels every day. But if I ran into a woman and I'm dating her, and then I'm like, would you wear heels for me twice a month or whatever? And she's like, no, I would never wear heels. I refuse to wear heels. Don't you know those things hurt your ankles? Then I'm like, no, you ain't the one. Let's move on.
Let me ask you this: since that's a big deal right now, where they say women are too picky. Do you think you might be too picky? I'm not saying you are at all. I'm just
I mean, I'll be honest with you.
you've been on this journey for 5 years.
Well, I mean, I'll be honest. I think people need to be pickier.
Nice.
I've never told people on my channel not to be picky. What I try to tell them to be is to be realistic. See, one thing is being picky, another thing is being realistic. For instance, what a lot of we'll start with women, and then I will talk about the men as well. When a woman says something like, "I want a man that is 6'2," and now I've even heard women say 6'4." As soon as a woman says that, she has now dropped down to about 30 to 25% of the male population, because the average man is around 5'9". So as soon as a woman says 6'2", she's now in the upper heights of men, which is now only about 30 to 25% of all men. So now she says, okay, I want him to be Christian. She's now chopped that in about half. You know, if he's a real Christian, going to church, stuff like that. And then she says, okay, and now I want him to make six figures. And when we say six figures here, we really are talking more like $150,000 and above. Okay, so now only 15% of men make that kind of money. So now you take that amount and cut it in half. So now what's happening is when a woman says, okay, I want a man that's 6'2", he's a Christian, and he basically, makes this money. Now she's probably talking about maybe 7% of the male population. And so now in that 7%, he still has to have all the stuff she's looking for and all these other types of things, and he has to find her attractive.
But what are you getting at though? Because you said they should be picky. So
No, here's my point. That is an unreasonable pickiness. Yes, yes, it is. Because like for me, no. Huh?
Well, let me give you some statistics on some of these men, not all, because even like what you were saying, you were not talking about all, right? Just talking because we can't put all women in one category, right? Plus, because I don't think that's the majority of women. I just don't. I think even if they would like that, the majority of women will still love a man that's not 6'4", that does not, because I see it. I see more women in relationships with men that don't fit that are happy.
That's my point, though.
So
you're kind of making my point, but go ahead.
Well, all I'm saying is that that's just like a standard that's been talked about that just like kind of blew up over the last few years, right? I personally don't think the majority of women are limiting themselves to that six-figure man, the 6 foot. I personally don't think that the majority of women. I think there's a smaller percentage of women that do, right? It's just again, that's just my opinion. I think it's a smaller percentage, but I think it's been blown up that women want this. I'm not saying that one was gonna turn it away or turn it down, right? But I think that that's not the main focus for the majority of women. And even if I use that concept with the men,
and that's kind of what I was getting to. But yeah,
I think it's like I want to say 80 80%, 70 or 80% of black women. I want to say they weigh over 180 pounds, something like that. So these men that think they're gonna get when they start, just like you said, they want a 6 pack, they want 6'4", they want 6 figure, right? You have men that they have a Coke model shape, right? You have a little bitty waist that's not that's built a certain way, that has that wants to have all these kids, wants to have their kids, that whatever those criteria, has their own hair, right? That we could say the same thing that you've already cut it down. That doesn't have kids. That the man has cut it down. His chances, to already 15%, and then just with the weight, and then you take out of the 15% that don't have kids, you narrowed it down even more. So we can say all these things, right? But the reality is, you should be looking for, you should have some standards, but should you have standards that are so high that you are not going to find this person, or should you have the standards that high and the belief? Because again, when you start talking Christians, the whole foundation of being a Christian is believing that you would see the things, the desires of your heart, right? So, what's the bias in that from both senses? From
No,
both
but I
senses.
guess that's my point, though. See, you're making my point because that's what I was going to say. You know, a man looking for an Instagram model. You know, that's generally what I say. But see, and what I mean by those are crazy or whatever expectations um, is because they are superficial. You know, and that's what I say. You kind of made my point. What I'm always telling people to pay attention to the most is a person's heart and their mind. You know, the heart and the mind come first. And like for me, I'm not a super tall guy. You know, I've talked about this before. I'm probably 8.5 on a good day. But the bottom line is I will date a woman that is 5'9", 5'10". I don't have a problem with that. You know, it's not necessarily the best feeling as people talk about, but I'll do it. And see, my thing is that is what, you know, exactly kind of what you're saying is what I'm saying too. But I also know as a man, the looks that men get from women just trying to approach them if the man is not looking like what the woman wants. And so because of that and that superficiality of it, that is causing most of the problems. Like for men, I would say same
You think
thing.
that's being superficial? I mean, I don't, to a certain degree, it's not being superficial because even you admit it, the first foundation is being attracted,
Yes, but the
right?
bottom line is you
You
can.
have to be attracted.
Yes, but see, here's the whole thing, and I guess this is where maybe we're getting a little bit of a disconnect. If I run into a woman and she is, let's say she's 200 pounds, so we'll say she's 5'5", 200 pounds, and I find her to be very
And
attractive.
nothing against nobody just 180 or up. Let me
Yeah,
just say
you
that
know,
first off.
nothing against anybody, but
Nothing.
I'm
Yeah.
just saying from my perspective and what we're talking about now, we try to put things in perspective.
Right. I just want to throw that out there for anybody
Yeah.
that
So
may look.
yeah,
Yeah.
so if I run into that woman and then I'm saying, okay, I want to be with that woman, there's going to basically be two things that are really going to go down. The first thing is, again, am I attracted to her? Does she, it's not just about her weight. How does she put her clothes together? How is she doing her makeup? How is she doing her hair? You know, how is her nails? You know, what's her style? What type of person is she? Is she really kind? Is she really nice? You know what I'm saying? Is she supportive? You know, all these things matter. And I've always used, like, I know for me, I had a situation just like that, where there was this woman that popped up in the group a long time ago. And I was at first time I met her, I was kind of messing with her, just kind of joking with her a little bit. And I really honestly just was not attracted to her. But the more we hung out and the more we talked, the more I did find her attractive. But then I did talk to her about ways she could make herself more attractive. And she actually did take me up on some of that information and she started to implement it. And she almost, you know, jumped in beauty overnight, right? But and so for me, once I talk to somebody and I find that we're on the same path, then generally, unless I, like I say, as long as I can find something, as long as I can find something attractive about her, then I'll rock and roll with it.
Right.
And see, that's the part that I'm always telling people to do. And like one of the main things I'm always telling men and women to do is to talk to the other six for 5 minutes. You know, at least find out who this person is. Don't be so quick to throw them away. You know, I just did a couple of videos about the exact same thing. There was this woman who talked about this man came up to her. She wasn't attracted to him. You know, she pretty much was trying to blow him off. And he kept calling her, kept, you know, asking her, can, you know, he take her out, blah, blah, blah. So she was going out every blue moon, but she did not like him. She kept telling him. And long story short, she ended up marrying him. And he was the best man. He's been the best man, been there for her kids, bends over backwards, a great protector, provider, leader. And she admitted, like, I didn't know how to pick men. And see, my point is, and to go back to the original thing talking about somebody's clothes, is that yes, you can use clothes to a degree to try to eliminate certain people. But if you're looking at it from a perspective that their clothes have to be perfect, that their style has to be perfect according to you, then you're going to miss out on so many people.
I agree.
And that to me is, the main point of that.
I'm actually, I actually agree that personality covers a multitude of flaws in a person.
Oh,
You know, and that's why I always say I'm a slow burn when I enter relationships because I have dated men that were not so attractive when I first met them, but their personality just made them extremely sexy and alluring and attractive to me. But that takes time to get to those someone's personality, right? And so I think that's one of the biggest things is taking your time, right? People meet people and they were and I've seen the opposite. I've had somebody extremely attractive, and when they open their mouth, that first conversation, I was like, I just saw red flags everywhere. So it can go either way. You know what I'm saying? So